This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
News from Minnesota Vikings practice yesterday. A certain player battling a demon in his neck practiced in limited fashion.
The Gink is on fire!
It's Van Ginkel style. Van Ginkel style.
Oh, he threw it to Van Ginkel. Touchdown! That's the fourth touchdown in Andrew Van Ginkel's career. And he read Daniel Jones like a book. They blitz Rodgers, and they pay for it. Picked off by Van Ginkel. Near side to the 50. On the sideline, 40. And it's loose. Touchdown!
43, though, putting on a show they didn't know. Now they know. Ruining their flow. A sack or bad throw. Every play. Every day. Driving quarterbacks absolutely insane. It's Van Ginkel style. Van Ginkel style.
Here's Van Ginkel.
It's Van Ginkel style.
Andrew Van Ginkel.
Van Ginkel style.
Andrew Van Ginkel.
It's Van Ginkel style.
Andrew Van Ginkel.
It's Van Ginkel style.
This is the 9 to noon radio show. And a happy Thursday to you. Football feasting with Nordo and Alec tomorrow at Buffalo Wild Wings Monticello. We mentioned one injury report, one bet perhaps settled, maybe for just one game or one half, but who knows. But the Gink was on fire in a limited fashion at practice yesterday. It clearly has tickled the fancy of Mad Producer. And good morning.
Yeah, good morning. The closer that he gets to returning, the more excited I get. That's why I just wanted to bring Van Ginkel style back in to open a Thursday, as it ain't perfect. It's not all healthy. According to the A plan back in August, doesn't exactly look like it should be in mid-October. However, bright times, good times on the horizon here, as that injury report looks markedly different than it did even 2 weeks ago, PA. I'm loving it.
Next up, the champs, and I understand why you're loving it. I mean, shoot, the last time the Devoted saw the boys at home, they were embarrassing the Cincinnati Bengals. And these fans are going to be fired up to watch their favorite squad pluck some wounded birds, because next on the docket, the world champions, studs Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, went full at their first practice report for the Birds.
Yeah.
Van Ginkel goes limited, taking a baby step in his quest to defeat the demon in his neck. And the kid was out there throwing passes, but was limited.
3rd and 1 from the Bears 14. McCarthy out of the shotgun, milking a 3-point lead. It is a run-pass option. McCarthy takes off to the right, to the 10. Stutter steps at the 5. Touchdown! He's J.J. McCarthy, and he runs for a Vikings touchdown. And the Minnesota Vikings, after that 14-yard touchdown gallop, sending fans home here at Soldier Field.
J.J. McCarthy limited with the Vikings' first practice report. But alas, the practice report included more names.
Thank you, Bismarck.
There was a big, fat, bold word that read full next to this guy's name.
38, 37, 36, 35. Wentz on 2nd and 5 from the Cleveland 12. He works out of the shotgun, takes the snap, 4-man rush, throws to the right side, caught! Touchdown! Jordan Addison! He's the man of the match! And he gives the Minnesota Vikings a 20-17 lead.
Thank you, Bismarck.
I'd expect some news later involving the Minnesota Vikings quarterback situation into the game against them Birds. Wentz full, McCarthy limited, Grenard didn't slip, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's news about the quarterback spot later today. And that very well could be for just this week. and very well could be shorter than that if, like Jalen Carter, decides to heat up and belly flops on Carson Wentz's wounded wing. Now, this quarterback bet may be settled for a day. It may be settled for a week, but behind Carson, would it be JJ? Would it be McCarthy? If McCarthy is limited and Brosmer is not included on said bullet points of pain, then Brosmer would be minus 150. Minus 150 to be the backup against Quinyon Mitchell, who has a swoon over his hammy, but made it too limited in the Eagles practice report. So all of this still bears following, but earlier, I'd say 25 and a half hours ago, maybe 22 and a half hours ago, Nordo dropped in something from a podcast where it seemed like Jonathan Grenard spilled the proverbial beans and we got all excited. Then the injury report came out. One guy was full, one guy was limited. If the other guy goes limited, and the University of Minnesota product who was undrafted goes nothing. If it's Wentz, does it matter who backs him up? I think it does because of the wounded wing and Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis doing belly flops on quarterbacks. You think I'm seeing it clearly?
I think you are, but just at a base level for a moment, may I celebrate? What is it? Thursday, 9:08?
Yeah.
We don't have to answer or discuss who's going to start on Sunday at U.S. Bank Stadium.
What do you mean?
Well, while the talker will not end,
I think the bet is settled.
While the talker won't end in terms of when number 9 comes back, that'll regenerate itself from Vikings fan line on Sunday afternoon into a Monday after hopefully a win over the Eagles into an early Thursday night game against the Chargers. So that talker won't end. But just even for a couple of days, just to go into Sunday noon, U.S. Bank Stadium, potentially pivoting doors wide open, a beautiful October breeze wafting its way into a beautiful stadium full of fans ready to beat them birds. What's up with Saquon, etc. We don't have to go in or spend any more time going, yeah, it'd be cool if JJ played this weekend. The limited capacity combined with the consistency of the coach. If the kid himself says ankle ain't right yet, then we know exactly what we're going to see on Sunday. And I'm just excited that at this point of the day, at this point of the week, we can just settle in. And now, what does Carson look like battling that shoulder against Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Quinyon Mitchell, some Makuta cat on the back end? Let's take advantage of the second-round rookie still getting those legs under him in the NFL. What's all that going to look like on Sunday against the Eagles?
Now, Quinyon Mitchell is the best corner back for the Philadelphia Eagles. He has a swoon over his hammy.
Yeah.
And it was highly unlikely off the reports from Friday, Sunday, and a little bit Monday that he would be able to make this dance. All right. So the Eagles put out a practice report yesterday and said talented corner who has said swoon over his hammy was listed as limited on their injury report. Here's a pro prediction. Corners with hammies on a fast surface against numbers 1, 3, and 18 don't play.
Oh my God.
Nice try, beloved birds.
Ooh.
Nice try.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we'll see. So that's the bet. The black chips have been paid for a day, and now we get excited for the feast tomorrow and what will be an amazing, frenzied, lively atmosphere at Buffalo Wild Wings Monticello. What do we all think about that? Wentz versus his former squad. The champs on a two-game battle, two-game negative battle. You got AJ, Saquon, and Jalen perhaps not liking each other. And if you strike them fast and furiously, these birds might not punch back. Now, that doesn't mean there's no disrespect to the world champions. This comes with nothing but respect for the Philadelphia Eagles football operation. But we're not even at the midway point of the season. And when you have people grading on each other this early in the equation, a division rival who just beat you on the horizon, the bye week after that, bank accounts are fat and you have no time to do anything during the practice week. So that's why you think about the bye. And you got that shiny world championship ring. You punch these guys early and open up a couple scores on them, and they may not punch back.
Oh my gosh.
So what do we think about all that? Now, here's the deal. For the Minnesota Vikings, don't drop it. Don't drop the football. Don't false start it. Let's eliminate the pre-snap stuff. Put 18 on some middle field plays and watch that man run like the wind. Major, major, major pressure, however, is on a few Vikings in this game, specifically in handling Saquon Barkley. We need to discuss that, and we will do so with Ben Lieber, at about 10 o'clock. Beloved Baldy, Brian Baldinger, handicaps this one for us, plus some more NFL conversation about 9:40, 9:45. And the Bow Hunter stops by at 11:25 for some Ski-U-Ma Husker hysteria. And that's all courtesy of TimberTech and TimberTech.com. I'm Paul Allen, Nordo produces. And before we get to Vikes Bites, he handles the cash thing. And good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Two men in a junk truck along with the fan want to give you a shot at some bonus bucks with the National Cash Contest. Go to KFAN.com, enter the keyword bank. You might win $1,000. That's keyword bank.
Nice try, beloved birds.
And just enter that in at KFAN.com. Let's go. Vikes Bites. Welcome back, 9 to noon. Vikes Bites indeed is upon you and us, 9 to noon. Vikes Bites always brought to you by Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef.
A gink.
And you can shop online. Box of meat shows up at your doorstep. You can go to your local Coburn's and Kowalski's locations, local co-ops as well. And they're proud sponsors of Gophers Athletics, a Minnesota company. Elite, nutrient-dense beef. Check them out, Thousand Hills. Check out a bit of an audio blitz for you, Vikes Bites style, on a Thursday morning. We'll start with a few that I found from the head coach. And I was talking last segment, really not in jest at all. I'm happy to feel very confident about who is starting this weekend. Not that the plan has changed, but I know who's going to be under center for the Purple against the Eagles. I think the head coach is super happy to know as well, or at least not have to answer any more questions about who's going to be starting.
Where do things stand as far as your starting QB for Sunday, Kevin?
They stand in the same place they did Monday when I answered that question.
It was a different version of Kevin O'Connell with that press conference yesterday. I mean, right from the start. First and foremost, it began about 12, 13, 14 minutes late. Secondly, I can't recall Kevin walking up to a microphone and paraphrasing, basically saying, all right, guys, what do you got?
Yeah.
And then because normally he'll start talking about something a little bit. Then that question was posed, and I didn't in any way think it was a snarky response by the head coach, but it's antithetical to his normal responses, which the over-under on the words is about 225.
Yeah.
I think that one had about 15 words.
Well, I can actually, with the way, in the radio business, like, we just have kind of an inherent unconscious feel of what a break feels like, right? Like, we know a break's about 5 minutes. We can eat lunch in a break. We can go to the bathroom on a break. We can do a lot of things on a break. But I can also set my watch to Kevin O'Connell's responses. I know as soon as he's asked a question and he starts talking, we're good for about 70 seconds-ish.
Yeah, minimum.
And maybe 90. Maybe we're treated to a full 90 of the head coach's response. That was about 7. And you're right. When he typically begins pressers, PA, it will be kind of a summary. All right, looking forward to a good practice, and just kind of hits you with a few bullets on the front end and any questions. Wes Phillips, of all people, he's one of those guys, though. He's just like, all right, what do you got?
Yeah.
What do you got, eh? TJ Hawkinson this, Blake Brandel that, and they move forward. But it sounds like the coach is ready to find some stability at the QB spot, if you will, and to just kind of work through the subterfuge and get to the final answer.
I think he wanted to get through the practice because the injury report from Wednesday had not been released at that time.
Yeah.
So he knows whatever goes into somebody practicing in limited fashion, he knows that's coming for one of the guys. He knows that there's going to be a full listing for the other guy.
Indeed.
But you still got to do it. And, you got to make sure somebody doesn't topple or stumble and fall on the left shoulder. Somebody doesn't, take a bad step on the bad ankle. Then a limited becomes a DNP.
Ugh.
Or a full becomes a limited. So it plays into what we said yesterday. And I'm certainly not speaking for the head coach, but there are a lot of frustrating things out of his control that just keep coming at him and the team. Mm-hmm. And I sensed that a little bit yesterday. Certainly not the way things were at the end of the Cleveland game.
Vikes Bites, more of an audio blitz today, 9 to noon, and we'll continue with the head coach. Hey, this snap count thing with Darisaw, can we see him just kind of going full bore?
That was more of a just through the dialogue with Christian of that one individual game. But yes, I feel like he'll be in a good spot.
Oh, okay. So can we potentially just say no more snap count? Sunday afternoon, potentially, game-winning drive. Team needs points. Whether it's getting into the end zone or it's from the foot of Will Stryker. Maybe we'll see number 71 out there and we won't have to worry about Justin School moving over to that left side. Sounds like progressing in the right direction, Mr. Darisaw.
And O'Neal went limited, so did Donovan Jackson. Juergens went full, despite Brandell playing in the Browns game. But with Darisaw, that also plays into the layering of the man who runs the team, the head coach, to whom much is given, much is expected, and he wants to win every single game, of course. Puts a lot of pressure on himself. But if the way I heard the totality of the answer, that part right there was a little short. The totality of the answer to the question made it sound like there are times that he legitimately doesn't know, whether Darisaw's going to make a full game or not make a full game. Now, I may have speculated inaccurately with what I saw at Hanbury Manor, where Chris Cooper and Keith Carter, the offensive line coaches, were working so much and so intently with Walter Rouse that when Darisaw left, School went right to left, and Rouse came in and played right tackle. I assume that was the plan, but it might not have completely been the plan. So a lot of this involves how Christian feels, how much he believes in his wounded knee, meshing with what he knows he needs to do against somebody like Myles Garrett. And it also, it could involve a tap out, or it could involve I'm good the rest of the season. It's another layer of the confusion.
Indeed. Vikes Bites. Last one from the coach. That Saquon Barkley cat, he's pretty good.
1st and 10 at your own 30, and he's crossing the goal line. If you're not exactly where you need to be, fitting the run, second-level players showing up, setting edges, playing the cutback. It's one of those teams where they're really good at the things that they do, and you've got to be really good at some fundamental, simple things on the chalkboard, but you got to do them, and you got to make sure that you consistently do them every play, because he can change it in a heartbeat with one touch.
Yesterday, I need JJ McCarthy in my life. Excited for him to get healthy, excited for him to be back on the field at some point. From this morning, I play in Van Ginkel. I need Van Ginkel in my life. I need number 43 to be back on the field. Could this be a Cashman-style type game in terms of trying to perfect those fits and find their way to some positive answers in regard to Saquon Barkley?
Yeah, fair question. Because in the 2 losses this year, the Vikings have allowed right around 350 rushing yards. I mean, Bijan has a little MVP to him, so it's not like we're just going to forget that one. But nevertheless, that was like $150.
Right.
The Gainwell,
that's a problem.
Well, the Gainwell bit, it's when Baldy joins, Brian Baldinger, about 20 minutes from now, we're going to talk about something the Steelers are doing, and they did very well to the Minnesota Vikings, using 6'7" tight end Darnell Washington, then extra offensive lineman, 74, I think his name is Spencer Anderson. So they, in essence, created 7 offensive linemen, and that's what you need to do to get Kenneth Gainwell on a 100-yard game. that's what you need to do to get this rookie, Caleb Johnson, to fall forward for even 3 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, my man can't get out of his way, but he had a decent game against the Vikings because running against the Vikings is what teams are doing. Cashman returns. That helps. How much will it help without Van Ginkel if he doesn't play? If you're limited, you're 50-50. We'll see if he'll probably be limited the course of the week and maybe questionable into the game. Not sure I can count on him for this game, but like you said, you need Gink in your life, and the Gink was on the field. So that's a good start. When Lieber joins in 35 minutes, the A topic to the game potentially could be this quarterback situation we've discussed since the Cleveland game, because it's the quarterback. All right. So it has a topic to it, no matter if you're Spencer Rattler or Carson Wentz. But right behind that, and potentially the A topic, is something that you played from that press conference, and I'm really glad you played it. It's Joshua Metellus, Theo Jackson, Harrison Smith, and all corners. That's what O'Connell was talking about when he was talking about the second level, second layer. If your safeties and your corners take bad angles on Saquon, and the Eagles run a lot of plays that have designed cutbacks. So Saquon busting out to the left, but they know 5 yards into it, there's going to be a hard cut to the right. And they're going to have like Grant Calcaterra. If he plays, Goddard's decent at it. An offensive lineman, of course, would be good. Well, they have those guys there to block your guys. And that's how Saquon gets loose on these designed cutbacks. So with Metellus, Jackson, Hitman, and the corners, I mean, you can tell O'Connell's all over it already, that you can draw it up the way it's supposed to be, the way it's supposed to look, and we've seen the tendency 82% of the time with Saquon. But if the 18% is different and you're not ready, he gets to the house from 70. And he may only have 3 rushing touchdowns this year, and he's not cracking 100 yards, and things don't look the same with them. They can in 1 or 2 runs, and those are the types of things that get teams like the Eagles engaged. Super long runs where the bench and the kids go crazy, and now all of a sudden they become engaged. This part right here with the tackling with the secondary guys, this is a vital facet to winning this game.
Vikes Bites. Thank you, Thousand Hills. This popped in my head while you were talking about Saquon, talking about the fit and everything that goes into the run game and teams having success with this. You mentioned, the 2 losses. Well, even Quinshon Judkins and the Browns were finding their way around the field on us on the ground specifically. To that end, from our point of view, Mason, Zay Scott, love them, rooting for them on Sunday. Among all the people that have come back, one name that we did not see in terms of opening practice windows and such for our team, Aaron Jones. Did that surprise you at all, or in terms, because whatever, and Mason better maybe between the tackles? Yeah. I mean, we've talked at length, ad nauseum, in fact, really about the differences between the two and what's cool when both of them are on the field. Mm-hmm. I don't think it can be understated that or overstated that we've really missed, I think, Aaron Jones in some capacity. He has not opened the window. He was not part of the practice. He is still not in the mix. I just wonder what we're missing there.
I believe his window opens next week, the 21-day window. So he's not eligible to play in this game.
Oh, that's my bad then.
I caught Aaron when I got to practice yesterday running on a far field. And I was like, who invited Secretariat to practice? I mean, holy cow, did he look lickety-split.
Okay, good.
I'm going to lay it out like this. I'll be surprised if Aaron Jones doesn't. Well, surprised is too strong. I would, with the Chargers game, that short week terrorism, assuming, and I'm pretty sure I'm right on this, with his window opening next week, then I'm not going to be, Joe Q, Dr. David Chow, trying to pretend like I know what I'm talking about from a medical standpoint, even though I'm not on Twitter like that doctor. It's what I saw yesterday. Looked pretty good to me. So I would quasi count on him for the Chargers game.
No, that's sweet then. For some reason I thought he was available if healthy to start this week, but next week let's go. Let's get Aaron Jones back. And that leads me to the kid QB talking about his ankle.
Ankle is, it's getting there. I wouldn't say it's 100% right now, but, we're striving every day to get there as fast as possible.
The talker that emerged...
You think we're bored talking about this? Did you hear that kid right there?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the kid's vivacious and has pop, and
he
hey,
wants
guys,
to play, yeah.
And it's his voice just tailed off at the end. He started talking about it.
So while I think we have some finality in terms of the Eagles game, the talker that will emerge, PA, whether it's at the Feast or next week into the Chargers game, is going to be, okay, if needs to be fully healthy, let's hope it is. But he also needs a full week of practice. Short weeks are weird. So you're going to start getting the talker down the line of, if he couldn't go this week, and next week's a short week against the Chargers, it might be baby bye, and it might be Kitty's game early November. Your thoughts on that?
I think fellow media members would agree with me on this. For though, when the parts of practice we watch is McCarthy, when you watch him walk, and I noticed this at Hanbury Manor, and he wasn't even set to play in the Browns game, that there's a little hitch in the giddy up. I mean, it's not, it's not old schoolers will understand this. Red Fox, Fred Sanford from and the way he used to walk in Sanford and Son, it's not that off kilter. But it's not just a completely 10 of 10 stride. So he's still favoring that ankle a little bit, in my opinion, even when he's just walking around. So when it comes to limited and needs a full week of practice, not exactly sure how close to full he would be. But I can, it's a high ankle sprain. So, those generally 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks to be safe with it. And, they're pretty close to that now. But the part for me with this game coming up that I'm starting to noodle on a fair amount, included in the open with the quarterbacks, is, all right, so Wentz goes prohibitively favored to start because of the practice report yesterday. Odds can change after a practice report today. But if McCarthy is limited, questionable, and Brosmer is fine, who's your backup to Carson Wentz?
Yeah.
Because if you have a wounded left shoulder that has caused the coach to talk about it several times up to this game, you fall on that bad boy, or you run for a first down and you dive and you get that Texas second-round rookie safety playing out of his mind and he hits him the wrong way. Well, the backup.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be Throsmer.
It's got to be.
At U.S. Bank Stadium, packed house. Haven't seen him since they killed Cincinnati against Carter and Davis.
If you're sticking to the plan, I think Brosmer has to be the backup. I think that's probably the right answer.
Could be.
For this Philly game. Speaking of the shoulder, here's Carson.
Feeling good. Yeah, no, feeling good. It's just one of those things. You just play through it, and I'm feeling pretty good right now.
Okay. He's feeling good.
Okay.
I bet you it smarts, it stings, it probably hurts like hell. But he's a warrior. Love him or hate him, Carson Wentz is a tough dude.
That's how they raise him in Bismarck, Nordo.
That's what the 701s are telling me on the text line.
Gone with that Big Mark.
But he needs to slide.
It's definitely something you think about. It's just in the heat of the moment. How do you think? How does your mind work? What instincts take over? And so it's always something I come back and watch the film, and it's like, that was probably dumb. I got to be better. I got to learn. I hate to say it, but I've been saying that to myself for 10 years now.
Thank you. He daggered the touchdown call because when the ACL got messed up at LA Memorial Coliseum, he was diving for the end zone.
One of those points.
He was running one of those points. That's how they raise him in Bismarck. You say not so much man, Dan. I say both. That's how they raise him in Bismarck. And so he just said, I've been saying that to myself for 10 years. Closed circuit to Carson Wentz. It's probably not going to change.
Probably not.
And because you don't want somebody thinking about, whether they need to slide. You can't think about that during the course of the run.
Well, we talk about people making business decisions, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe a running back that jumps out of bounds. Dalvin Cook may be better at avoiding that last tackle. He would concede maybe an extra yard and get out of bounds. Adrian Peterson, he wants that extra yard. He wants that. He'll fight everybody on the freaking team for one more yard. Now, I heard Lieber talking about this with the power trip, actually, in relation to that audio clip you just heard. How do you change the instincts? the reflexive nature of a personality.
Yeah.
So if you don't want him thinking about it, then what you saw on the field, sadly, it ended in an ACL injury that changed the trajectory of his career during that 17 season. Clearly, it affected him with the shoulder here. But those are maybe also some of the traits that when he's feeling good, he's going 9-9 on drives, and he's pure instincts, and he's finding Addison for 6.
With a bad shoulder.
A bad shoulder.
With it, depending on what medically they did to it up to that possession. But I'd have to imagine it hurt close to as badly as it possibly can hurt during that situation. But you have the thrill of the game, the adrenaline given from the crowd, so therefore it masks it to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But, in this is under the assumption that Wentz starts on Sunday. It's, the closer we got to that Browns game with Myles Garrett, Malik Collins, Mason Graham, and all those guys were very physical front seven. It's before I vetted it out with some people, I was like, you got to throw to win this game. Okay, well, what do you mean? We're going to have 3/5 of the O-line. I'm like, okay, well, then that means Hawkinson and Oliver need to be extra offensive linemen, and Mason needs to pass protect, and you put 3 guys out in patterns.
Yeah.
Naylor, Addison, and Jefferson. And over the length of the game, Greg Newsome cannot keep up with any of them. Denzel Ward is really good, but still, is he really good 10 of 10 times against 18? The safeties are good downhill, especially Delpit against the run. So I laid the over-under on Carson Wentz passes in the Cleveland game at 27.5, and he went over it. I can't get a feel at this stage of the equation as to what the game shape should be offensively against this defense. I don't like their edge pass rushers. The Uche bit, the former Giant. I mean, they got 3 guys on whom they're counting defensively who are unrestricted free agent pickups from the New York Giants.
Yeah.
Last year's New York Giants. So
yeah, Ojulari's never lived up to his
there
name
we go.
either.
And they got this Patrick Johnson who they're playing. So
isn't Adoree Jackson a 4? Yeah.
Bam, thank you. 4, make it 4.
And he's been hideous at the corner spot.
Adoree was supposed to be their third corner, but now he's one of their top 2 unless Quinyon Mitchell returns off that hamstring. Kylie Ringo is a Georgia cat on whom they counted to take a big step this year.
No step.
And he hasn't.
Right.
And you can't single cover these guys coming at him. And they have to know that. Well, I guess we'll figure it out. Jim Schwartz didn't figure it out, and he got beat late with Jordan Addison.
How about Addison running routes against Perry Nickerson on Sunday?
Right. I mean, if Nickerson sees the field.
No, he won't.
But,
I don't think he will.
But nevertheless, I think this is a game you need to throw. That's what the Vikings do best. They throw. And when you start to see plays with Jefferson, middle of the field, catching it 10-11 from the line of scrimmage, making it 26-40. That's the O'Connell offense, attacking middle zones, putting the best guys in run after catch positions.
Yeah.
So I don't really have an over-under for like passes in this game. But I think you can. I mean, the Giants just scored 30 some odd points against the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Vikings offense is better than the New York Giants, and quite honestly, is not even close.
Now, I will say though that the Giants put up $172 on the ground against them.
Wow!
And the Eagles defense has given up. I think it's 4.6, 4.7 a carry. And so I mean, but you play the we know that you know, et cetera game. So flow and the fact we have a certain head coach that loves throwing, all of that included.
Yep.
But I'm just curious, like you said, you can get around the gym on him, I think, through the air in spots. This will be the same way that we talked about the Browns game, the way that we've talked about others. Some kind of efficiency in some respects. Doesn't have to be in mass 40 carries. I think the run game's going to play into this. We need Mason to run, and we need Mason to hold on to the freaking ball.
Brian Baldinger of the Baldy's Breakdowns ilk via Twitter. He's an elite film watching mind, former offensive lineman in the NFL. And he calls games for the likes of NFL Network, Fox, and so on. He'll be in town this weekend doing national radio. So let's get the takes on the Eagles, the Vikings, and much more from beloved Baldy. Around the corner, it's a Thursday at FM 100.3 KFAN. This is 9 to noon. favorites. Brian Baldinger at Baldy NFL is where you find him via the tweet machine. He works with NFL Network, calls games for Fox, and will be at U.S. Bank Stadium Sunday doing national radio for Eagles and Vikings. Baldy, it's Paul Allen. Thanks for taking time to help us, brother. How are things?
Things are good, Paul. It's good to be with you. Good to hear your voice. Looking forward to my trip to the Twin Cities here this weekend.
Yeah, I love our sideline chats. When the players are filtering onto the field and they start doing some things and asking you about offensive linemen and stuff. And let's start here. Outside of Vikings and Eagles, this is off a tweet I saw yesterday at Baldy NFL. At Baldy NFL. Mm-hmm. I'm with you on Steelers tight end Darnell Washington, man. When we were in Dublin, and they used him and went unbalanced with tackle Spencer Anderson.
Yeah.
Kenneth Gainwell looked like Franco Harris under those circumstances. What a specimen Darnell Washington is.
That was the best game Kenneth Gainwell ever had, too. And the Steelers found a run game that day. And he is. I mean, he's a lean 315 pounds. I mean, he's bigger than more tackles in this league. But he can run, too, and he caught a big pass the other day in a Steelers victory. So I agree with you, Paul. Like I feel like he's underutilized, but he is getting on the field more and more, and I think he's going to be a bigger part of that offense.
What do you think of the Eagles? Just paint with a broad verbal brush, Baldy. What do you think of the Eagles?
Well, they've been a 17-point offense, Paul, the last 2 weeks, but they really have struggled all year long. I mean, go back to the opening game of the season against the Cowboys. They had a lightning delay in that game, and it was delayed with about 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. They didn't score a point the rest of the game. They were losing to the Rams 26-7, going into the fourth quarter, and pulled a miracle and blocked a kick at the end to win the game. I mean, they've really kind of struggled. And against the last time they played against the Giants a week ago on Thursday, or I guess 2 weeks ago tonight, they gave up 5 touchdowns and they didn't score in the second half, and so they've really struggled offensively for most of the season, and now because of some injuries, they began to really struggle defensively as well.
Baldy, if the Vikings jump the Eagles, do you think they, and I'm not disrespecting the champions, I have a lot of respect for them, but at this stage of the season, if they get jumped on the road, I just wonder what the punchback is going to be. And I ask because they had no punchback a week ago when trying to run down the New York Giants. What do you think?
Well, I've seen this collapse before, Paul, 2 years ago. They lost 6 games in a row in the second half of the season, and they couldn't get out of the downward spiral they were in. They talked about it. They had their meetings. They do all the things that teams that are struggling do, and the Eagles have begun that process. They've had 10 days to get ready for this one on Sunday, but they're doing all that right now. But, I mean, they've got to come out and execute. They have not run the ball well at all, Paul. I believe Saquon is as good as any running back in this league. He was last year. And they have so many negative plays right now. The 40% of their runs with Saquon this year have gone for a yard or less. So they're not really moving people up front. They've had some injuries up there. But I think it starts with the run game. And, if they can get that cranked up and get some big runs that we're used to seeing from Saquon, if they do that, I think they can come out of this and they can, regain the respect and start winning some games.
At Baldy NFL via Twitter, and he was kind enough about 10 minutes ago to post a clip and on which he's analyzing a play from the Vikings-Browns game. And actually, Baldy, what you put up there with Jefferson running, I believe, or was that the Cam Akers pass? Yeah.
I put both those up, Paul. Yeah.
Okay. Well, with Jefferson running, when he motioned to the backfield, they went offset eye right. That was like my favorite offensive play of the game because it was just so creative and so different with Darisaw moving to right tackle, so they go unbalanced. You put Jefferson in the backfield, you see the Browns pointing at people and running willy-nilly. I know you have a lot of respect for the creativity the Vikings offer up offensively, right?
Yeah, I do. And, just that particular play, it caught my attention, Paul. I know it did yours in the booth as well. But, Cleveland is a really heavy press man coverage team. Well, if you put Justin Jefferson and motion him to the tailback position, it's kind of hard to go press him. And, he came, out of the backfield flat, and Carson found him. He was wide open. And you're just like, okay, it's just a play to shake him loose, get him the ball, let him know that he's a big part of the game plan, which he always is. But you get him an easy completion like that. Like, I don't see a lot of teams doing that to wide receivers that, want to get their guys involved in the game, let them know that, we're going to be feeding you all day long. And I just thought it was a little, creative flair by Kevin on that particular play. And then obviously the halfback pass from Cam Akers to Oliver, was the opening touchdown of the game. And that's a good defense. You got to find different ways to move the ball against that defense in order because they're really good at what they do.
So what about the Eagles defense? I mean, Carter and Davis, obviously handfuls. Bond, DeJean, Blankenship's really done a good job with his career being undrafted from Middle Tennessee State. But from a corner standpoint, Quinyon Mitchell, I thought his hamstring situation was kind of bad, but they listed him limited in practice. I don't know. It's a fast surface. You got Naylor, who's 4'3", with Addison and Jefferson. That just doesn't seem good for a bad hammy. So the secondary and edge rushing by the Eagles, is there a problem they're having right now?
Yeah, there is a problem, Paul. Jalen Carter has played 4 games. He didn't play in the last game. He didn't play in the first game because of the suspension. But, he doesn't have a sack. He's got very few quarterback hits. He really hasn't been the same player that we're used to seeing in his first 2 years in this league. So we'll see what happens. He was out with a heel injury, and he's had a bad shoulder. So I don't want to say the injuries aren't a part of it, but he doesn't look like the same players to this point. Now, when he's healthy, he is a handful. Quinyon went out in that game against the Giants, and they've had problems at left corner to begin with, Paul. They've played a lot of different guys over there. Keely Ringo, Adoree Jackson, Jacarian, Bennett. They've played a bunch of different guys. Nobody's really nailed down that spot. And so when Quinyon went out, they were really susceptible. And so they need him in there. He's their best defensive back. He's a very good corner. They need him in there to kind of hold things down a little bit, but they've struggled at the left cornerback position all year.
Baldy, as a former offensive lineman and the Vikings in London against Cleveland in that situation, 4/5 of the regular offensive line was down. Justin School had to move from right to left tackle for the fourth quarter. The left guard was undrafted from Wisconsin, and center Blake Brandel played his first game ever at any level at center, and they won the game. Ever seen anything like that?
Well, I had to go find out who Joe Huber was, when I saw him out there. But it's going on in this league. I saw the Cowboys win a game 2 weeks ago with 4 backup offensive linemen. But it's where we're at in this league right now. I tell people that if you want to build a team correctly, you can't have enough offensive and defensive linemen in this league. You better stack them on the practice squad. You better train them on Sundays when you have a chance to get them out on the field. You've got to get these guys ready, Paul. We saw a bunch of injuries to the Vikings in the offensive line last year. We've seen it already this year. You got to get the guys ready to go. Otherwise, it's just a convenient excuse that, we didn't protect very well today. We didn't run the ball very well today because of the guys that we had in there. It's just not an excuse anymore with as many linemen that are going down in this league.
Very fair. Time for 2 more for Brian Baldinger, NFL Network, national radio this weekend, Eagles and Minnesota Vikings. He also calls games for Fox at Baldy NFL via X. Packers, when you watch Jordan Love, what do you see?
I see an elite arm and good decision making, and enough good mobility without going crazy back there. I feel like he's got a good pocket presence of when to move and where to move. So I see all those abilities. I think, he just obviously he's had some injuries. He's missed some time over the last 2 years, and that's never helpful to any young quarterback. But I see a guy that has as much talent at that position as almost anybody playing the game today.
What about Darnold with Seattle? What do you see?
He's playing amazing right now, Paul. He really is. The same thing that you saw last year with Kevin and the Vikings, he's doing that in Seattle right now. And, suddenly a guy like Jackson Smith and Jigba, who we kind of said, he's going to be a good slot receiver, is a pure number 1 receiver because Sam is consistently getting him the ball. Hit him on a 61-yard strike against Jacksonville last week, a beautiful throw. But you're seeing everything. You're seeing movement, decision-making, great arm strength. and accuracy. And right now he's got Seattle in contention to go win that division this year.
What about the Buffalo Bills? What do you think is ailing the Bills?
Well, they've had a bad run defense for years now, Paul. We've seen that show up against Baltimore and what they've done to them. But, last week, you saw Monday night, Atlanta ran for 200 yards. You saw the 81-yard touchdown run by Bijan Robinson. They're not very good in the run defense. They're missing some guys. Matt Milano goes out. They're not the same defense. And then in the secondary, they've got issues at cornerback, and that's kind of around the league right now. And then Josh Allen, as good as he is, they got held to 14 points in that game, Paul. And so that's really was the change in that game. Is that was a close game, 21-14, and Buffalo just could not muster that drive to tie that game up, and Atlanta ended up winning it. So they've struggled 2 weeks in a row right now, but I think it starts with their defense and their run defense.
See you on the sideline Sunday about 10:15, 10:30 Central Time. Thank you, Baldy.
You got it, Paul. Anytime, buddy.
Yep, see you, brother. Brian Baldinger, beloved Baldy, at Baldy NFL via X. Second hour of the presentation commences each and every Thursday with Ben Lieber. Beloved Nacho joins us next.